Let me quickly bring you up to speed on what I'm doing. Here's the subject matter I'm trying to paint. And if you think that's a weak subject matter, you're paying attention. I think it's a horrible subject matter. Why am I painting it? I guess I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time driving around looking for great subject matter. Here's one thing I know, and I really believe this, that the beauty of the scene lies in the mind and the skill of the artist, not in the scene itself. And I take it as a bit of a challenge. Now, it's a challenge I may well fail at. I want you to know that I think I might completely scrap this painting, in a couple hours. I hope I don't, but I want you to know that that's a very distinct possibility. Be that as it may, I'm going to give it my dead level best to try to turn this very weak subject matter into a good painting. And I think it's probably a good teaching point for you, me, all of us. I think this often when I'm looking at some paintings of, the Grand Tetons, downtown Paris, an idyllic pond with ducks and pussy willows and cattails. I think, well, of course I could do a good painting too if I had that subject matter to work with. And I say that largely to say this, that all bad painters think that. So I take it any time that I think that, I am being a bad painter. Because that's stupid. That is not right. That is, okay, yes, but there's a grain of truth there. Do you hear me? I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. There is a grain of truth to, if you have a glorious subject matter, you're more likely, it's easier, I'll put it that way, it's easier to paint a glorious painting. But the great painters, all the great painters, can take a subject matter that you and I would look at and go, no way, there's no way that can be a good painting, and turn it into an incredible painting. Why? Because the beauty of a painting, real painting, does not lie in the subject itself. It lies in the paint itself. Man, I could talk for hours on that subject. In fact, Mike Rooney, my buddy, who is painting here with me this week, along with 4 other women, we were talking about it quite a bit the other day, and we both have very much the same conviction, if you will, that we're not in the business of painting party pictures. And forgive me, I like to say it improperly, party pictures. That is not what we're doing. We're not painting. Have I said that enough? No, I'm going to say it one more time. We're not painting party pictures. We're painting paintings. And there's a huge difference. And I emphasize it partly because all students, in my opinion, need to learn this important fact, that what you're painting is not a pretty picture. What you're painting is a painting. What's the difference? Okay, I'm going to try to draw and talk at the same. What's the difference between a pretty picture and a good painting? A pretty picture depends, for its success, its impact, its beauty, its significance, whatever, its head-turning capability, it's relying on the image, the thing that it's a picture of. And I know I'm mispronouncing the word on purpose. I don't know, just to be ornery, I guess. I'm mispronouncing ornery on purpose, just to be ornery. You caught me on a bad day, okay? Okay, back to ornery. Back to pictures versus paintings. Okay, a picture depends for its success on the subject matter. Oh, isn't that cute? Oh, look at that. It's a little kitten sipping milk. Oh, I've got to buy that painting. I'm sorry, I'm being really nasty here. Forgive me, but I'm trying to make a point. Okay, a pretty picture depends on its subject matter for its emotional impact. Let me try another one. Oh, look at that bucolic scene. Look at that idyllic scene. I wish I was sitting, I feel like I'm sitting right beside that pond right now. I can just feel the breeze. I can hear the birds chirping in the background. Okay, and some of you are saying, and yeah, what's wrong with all this? Hang on, I'll tell you. I am going to tell you what's wrong with all this. And of this, I am quite emphatic. There's something dreadfully wrong with all that. And I don't know. I mean, wrong. Again, I had one of my fellow painter women several weeks ago said, Dan, I know you keep talking about all this interesting marks and everything, but I just like to paint pretty pictures. And I'm taking a slight detour now. And my heart went out to her, and I looked at her and I thought, well, honey, bless your heart. You just paint all the pretty pictures you want. And they were pretty. She's doing a great job. She really is. I'm really proud of her because she's made a lot of progress. She's growing. And, I'm not so grumpy that I can't look at that and go, doggone, girl, you are knocking it out of the park. I'm so proud of you. And I am. I absolutely am. Is she ever going to be a great painter? Well, not as long as she still is happy just painting pretty pictures. Again, pretty pictures depend on the picture, the grand Tetons, the majesty of the mountain, the intimate little mountain stream, the cuteness of the duck, or the whatever. Okay, got it? That's what bad paintings depend on. They depend on the subject matter. Okay, good paintings. What do good paintings depend on? Good paintings depend on paint. Are you getting the point? Are you there? Are you watching me? Get this. Good paintings are based on paint. Get it? Huge difference. Bad painting based on pretty picture, of which this is not a pretty picture. But let's pretend it was. Let's pretend there was, Mount Rainier in the background. Or let's pretend, I don't know, you name it. Okay? Good paintings depend on paint. Now, let me back up now again. So what's wrong with painting pretty pictures? One of the things that's wrong with that, and again, I know I'm being, for some of you, a little esoteric, but here's what's wrong with painting pretty pictures. One thing is they will never stand the test of time. Why? Because taste for pretty pictures changes. I'll use a ridiculous example. Do you remember back in the 60s and 70s? I know some of you, what? I wasn't born till the 90s. Okay, I know. I'm talking to old people, not like me. Remember back in the 60s and 70s, the big-eyed people? There's actually a movie now that's quite fascinating. Turns out, this man was given credit for doing all these paintings. They made millions of dollars. Everybody had all these big-eyed children, sad-eyed children paintings in their house. They sold millions of them. And it turns out the whole time it was his wife who was painting them, not him. And anyway, it was a fascinating movie. Anyway, do you remember those? Anyway, you just Google sad-eyed, big-eyed children or something like sad big eyes, and you'll find these things. Well, are they great paintings? No, of course not. They were never intended to be great paintings, I don't think. But I hope not. But taste changes. Okay, let me use a much more timely example. Let's talk about Thomas Kinkade. And by the way, if you watch me very often, you know I get really get a kick out of saying nice things about Thomas Kinkade. Because as a quote-unquote serious painter, I'm supposed to hate him. And so I like saying good things about him. Well, I say good things about him because he was a darn good painter. Okay? And I like to say to my snobby students who've been influenced by other snobby students, Thomas Kincaid. I like to say to them, yeah, as soon as you can paint better than him, you can start criticizing him. And of course, I've never had one student that can hold a candle to his painting skills. Okay, so he was a good painter, got it? He really was. And if you're a snob, you're just wrong. You're just stupid. You just don't be a snob. Do not be a snob. Now you can respectfully disagree with what he chose to do with his talent, which I do respectfully disagree. But hey, it was his life, not mine. It used to be a lot more fun to talk about him when he was alive. It's kind of sad now. He had a rather sad end. I'm truly brokenhearted about that. But where was I? So anyway, Thomas Kincaid. So he was a very good painter, and if you doubt that, see if you can Google some of his plein air paintings where he's just out in the field, out in the real world, painting stuff. The guy was phenomenal. Okay, so I made that point. But what he did with his skill was he chose to paint sentimental, nostalgic scene. He said, I paint the world that most people wish they could live in. It's something like that. Or that I want to live in. Bingo. Good description. That's exactly what he did. Escapist art. And again, don't curl up your lip and say, me, escapist art. No. I mean, we were all put here on the planet to do something, and who's to say Thomas Kincaid didn't do exactly what he was put on the planet to do, okay? End of subject. End of griping. But it's not what I want to do. And one of the reasons is, one of the indications that it's not really good painting is that it's not going to stand the test of time. Let me give you another example. I'm old enough to remember Robert Wood. Some of you old people know who I'm talking about. In the 60s, something like 50%. I'm talking to my YouTube crowd here. Yeah, okay. In the 60s, but you're welcome to chat with me. Okay. So in the 60s, like half the houses in America had Robert Wood paintings, not Robert Wood Johnson, had Robert Wood paintings hanging in their home. And they were, again, bucolic scenes, pastoral, woodlands, ponds, and so forth. And they were very popular. At that same period, Edgar Payne was the father of the California School of Plein Air Painting. Same era, same age. Robert Wood was more popular than Edgar Payne. Okay. Are you an artist by any chance?
No, I'm a reporter.
Are you really?
I'm new to the island here, and Richard Taylor, I'm working with.
Oh, wonderful.
Can I get a picture of you?
Absolutely, please do.
Are you broadcasting? You're live streaming this on?
Yeah, I am.
On your cell phone there?
These people, my people are used to interruptions, okay. Especially good ones.
Okay, well, let me just take a picture. We'll make it get in the paper. No, we have an online.
Fantastic.
Every day.
Fantastic.
A monthly print edition.
Fantastic. Yeah. And we've been in touch with somebody from the paper.
Probably Peter or Connie?
Yeah. Peter came to our show last year. This is the third year. No, Raleigh. This is the. Okay, yeah. This is the third year in a row that we've come. Last year I think there were 5 of us. This year there's 6. The year before that I don't remember. Yeah. So there's.
The sun is in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I might come on this side over here.
In fact, here's what. Let's take this umbrella down temporarily.
Okay.
So that so it's not blocking me.
Maybe you can turn.
Hey, I just saw that comment. Again, for some reason, YouTube just kicks me off periodically, and there's nothing I can do about that. So sorry. So yes, Thomas Kincaid was a good painter, and he did maybe what he was supposed to do in life. So we'll leave it at that. But the problem with painting sentimental scenes is it's very subjective. The taste changed. It'll go out of style. In 20, 30 years, Thomas Kincaid paintings will be quaintly out of date. I think I'm putting that the right way. They'll be quaintly out out of style. They will look old-fashioned. Whereas, and then I was talking about Robert Wood, who is so popular in the 60s. Capable painter, but he painted pretty pictures. Edgar Payne, on the other hand, was I don't know what to say. He was a real painter. His paintings, like he painted in California a lot, so he's got all these, the Grand Sierras, High Sierras, all kinds of gorgeous subject matter, but his paintings work not because of the subject matter. His paintings work because of paint. Now, what I mean a little while ago, I pounded my canvas and I said they work. It's paint. What I mean is the paint: line, shape, color, design, texture, value, balance, tension. All of those kind of words that if you took high school art, all those words you learned in high school art, that's real painting. And those are universal. They will never change. If human beings last another 10,000 years, they will still respond to the abstract elements of design. Taste can come and go, but the universal principles of design will not come and go. Whew. Ah, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? I'm going to let it go at that. So all of that is to say, too, why am I trying to take a subject matter that is admittedly not very strong, darn weak? Why am I trying to take a subject matter that is weak and turn it into a good painting? Well, partly it's a challenge, and it's a challenge I may very well fail at. So don't get me wrong. I'm not so arrogant to say I'm just going to hit a home run here. But that is indeed what I'm aiming to do, is to take this lackluster subject matter and turn it into a got-luster painting. The opposite of lackluster, I guess, is got-luster. So we'll see. At this moment, I am mildly encouraged. I wasn't sure that I could get this far along toward a great image. I'm far short of great image at this moment in this painting, but I'm not as far short as I thought I might be. So, now, I'll take a break here in just a minute, but let me pontificate for just another minute. Are you still there? Good. Okay. Let me tell you about my inner thought process then. While I'm painting this lackluster subject matter, how am I going to turn it into a good painting, right? That's the question I have to be asking myself. And the answer is, best I can say right now, the answer is because to some degree anyway, I know the rules. I know the laws of painting. I know what makes for a good painting. For instance, let me give you some of the most obvious, some of the ones I repeat the most. For instance, the most important aspect of a painting, especially representational painting, the most important aspect of a representational painting is play of light. Something just fell over in my van. Play of light is the most important. So when I'm looking at this scene, I'm going, what am I going to do with this scene to make the light dazzling? Okay, you can already see a big part of what's going on here. Shade, sun, and streaks of light. Okay, that's just one thing. Let me tell you what else. I know that human beings, except for art professors and those who have been corrupted by them, all normal human beings really get a very primal kick out of seeing things accurately rendered. by another human being. So I've sort of just given two principles that are sort of opposite to each other. The light principle is a very abstract principle. It makes me want to make sure I've got streaks of light and dark and so on and so on and so forth. Then the human beings, all human beings, except for those who have been corrupted by art professors, that's a long story, like to see things that are accurately rendered. So for instance, if you get the feeling that those look like palm trees, the more you feel like you're going to get a little kick out of that. If you feel like that's a person on a bicycle, you're going to get a little kick out of that. Now, let me make that a whole lot more complicated than it sounds. If I can make it look like a palm tree or a kid on a bicycle or a Jeep without forcing it, without drawing the heck out of it, if I can accomplish Jeepness here without just drawing the heck out of the Jeep, but it's just a few messy marks and your brain turns it into a Jeep, you're going to get a kick out of that. If I take hours and hours and hours with a tiny little one-haired brush and do, which I have done, can do, sometimes do just for fun, especially with automotive art. If I do a super realistic rendering of a Jeep, you don't get that same buzz. That does not give you the same thrill. So those are just two principles maybe. How am I going to turn this so-so image into a great painting? Hopefully a great painting. Play of light, balance, composition, lights and darks put in the right place. See, all those abstract. That's what I mean, that the paint is what does the work. It's all abstract elements, principles of design. Color, line, shape, values, all those things, that's what will make it either a good or a not so good painting. And so those are the things I'm very focused on while I'm trying to do this painting. Does that make sense? Okay, I've been ranting and raving for way too long now. Let's take a break, give you guys a break, and I'll be back in a little while. Thanks for watching.